Warner Brothers television production.
Kind of. Will, are you ready?
I haven't shaved or taken a shower, so I'm going to give you a real raucous interview.
Well, we want to welcome back to the program a man who doesn't shave. Who hasn't taken a bath today.
The cats keep away from me.
Here he is. It's our old friend, Sugarfoot himself, Tom Brewster. It is Will Hutchins.
Hola, amigo. You're our favorite host, MC cum DJ. You're our favorito. And that's got exclamation marks at both ends with the first one upside down. So.
Well, you know, every time that we've had you on, we've talked about Sugarfoot and other things, but inevitably someone will call up and they'll say, you've got to talk to Will Hutchins about No Time for Sergeants.
Uh-huh.
You know, they say, here he is. He's being directed by Mervyn LeRoy.
Yeah.
Andy Griffith.
Right.
In the cast. Nick Adams, right?
Nick Adams, right.
Yeah. And even Don Knotts is in there.
And my co-pilot was a guy named Jamil Farah, and he shortened his name to Jamie Floor.
Pilot the radio operator! Pilot the radio operator! Over!
Co-pilot the radio operator! Over!
Navigator to radio operator! Over! Rail gunner to everybody! Radio operator missed the plane!
Oh, no!
Do you remember how you were cast in that film?
Oh, yeah. Very vividly, unfortunately for you. I'd done one movie for Warner's up to then, Lafayette Escadrille. The story of William Wellman's story about his experiences in the Lafayette Flying Corps in World War I. He wrote the script, directed it, and his son played him. I guess that's the only time that's ever been done. I don't know that. Anyhow, I played a fighter pilot in that. In No Time for Sergeants, I played a bomber pilot with a co-pilot. And then in Bombers B-52, I played the navigator. My line was, "Sir, the plane's on fire." And then in my last movie at Warner's, Merrill's Marauders, I played a dog-faced G.I. Joe who gets shot and killed. Mm-hmm. So I was working my way down. So I figured if they'd had me for one more year and made another war movie, I would have been full F. You know, I was working my way down. But No Time for Sergeants. I didn't have a screen test, low budget, you know.
Sure.
So they had me do a scene from the movie, which hadn't been made yet. It was a scene in the psychiatrist's office. And Jim Garner, who was under contract, played the psychiatrist, and I played Will Stockdale. And I did my best. And they thought about it, but, you know, cooler heads prevailed. And Mervyn LeRoy was having none of that. The rightful guy, Andy Griffith, got the part. So anyhow, I did that scene, and then I got the part of the pilot of the plane that gets lost over the Los Alamos with the A-bomb. They cut out a scene that I wish they hadn't. We did the whole scene on the sound stage, the big sound stage. They made it look like an airport with planes in the background, you know, cut down. The perspective was perfect. And so the scene opened originally with the crew marching in to get on the airplane, and we were all hung over. We had a big night the night before, apparently. And then the capper was... Andy Griffith looked straight into the camera and said, "That's my crew."
You never heard of a sergeant like this? Well, you've never seen a picture like this. No Time for Sergeant.
But on the set, Andy Griffith was also working in a movie called A Face in the Crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, you know, a stark, heavy drama. In fact, I hear that was a kind of a comment on Arthur Godfrey, that story. Anyhow, he was doing that. And Ilya Kazan, the method director, came down on the set one day, and I'm up in the cockpit looking down on him, and he wants to reshoot a scene over Patricia Neal's shoulder. He wants Andy Griffith to get a little more nuance into the scene. You know, picky. Right. So anyhow, he didn't have Patricia Neal, but he had an extra gal who looked like her from the back. and they kept shooting the scene over and over, and Andy was getting a little not frustrated or anything, but he just didn't know what the director wanted. And finally, Kazan whispered into the extra lady's ear, and they did the scene again, and she threw him a line that wasn't in the script, and it kind of flustered him, but he came up with something, and Kazan said, "Cut, Prit, that's just what we wanted. How about that, Andy? You get it?" And he said, "Oh, gee, I don't know. I'm too confused." And so what a contrast in seeing the old Hollywood director, Mervyn LeRoy, with his great record, and then Elia Kazan with his system. It was amazing.
I'll tell you a story about a director manipulating an actor. I read this about John Ford. He was making a movie with John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart, and they were doing a scene. It was going great, and John Ford takes John Wayne aside, and he says, "Duke, is there anything about Jimmy Stewart in this part that you don't really like? Just between you and me. Anything? Is there anything about Jimmy Stewart's performance or the way he's playing the part or how he looks?" And John Wayne is thinking, and he feels he has to come up with something, and he says, "Well, maybe that's not the right shirt." And John Ford says, "Everybody gather around."
That's Ford.
We have to stop because John Wayne has just told me that he doesn't like Stewart's performance. And of course, Jimmy Stewart's like, "Well, why didn't you say something?" And Wayne's like, "No, that's not how I meant it." I want to ask about another movie that you made with another prestigious director. This one, Samuel Fuller, the movie Merrill's Marauders, featuring your rotating TV castmate Ty Hardin.
Yeah. In fact, I told Ty, and I believed it. I think I put him down on my. I was a member of the Academy then. I'm still on. They don't let me vote anymore. I guess they think I keep saying, "Why don't they bring back Nita Naldi?" Things like that. So I don't vote anymore, but I voted then, and I said, "Ty, I voted for you on my laminating ballot for your performance here. You're just terrific." Well, we're always pals. But anyhow, that's a good story. I think I might repeat myself a bit. I had some radishes for dinner. They got all the contracts out on the street one day. It was toward the end of the contract list at studios. So we were all lined up, and I didn't know we had so many people. And Jack Warner himself showed up. He never did that before. He was superimposed. I got a picture with me and Clint Walker and Jack Warner, but he wasn't there.
Right.
But he was there that day, and we had Natalie Wood on one arm and Angie Dickinson on the other. Pretty good. That nice ham sandwich there. And I said to Clint, we're all gathered, I said, I've been here 5 years and never met Jack Warner. I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting. So, I'll introduce you. No, don't. Well, you didn't argue with Clint, So he marched me over and he said, "Hello, Mr. Warner." "Oh, hi, Clint. You're looking great." Looking right at Clint. And he says, "Mr. Warner, Will here says he's never met you." And he says, "Yeah? I've seen him in enough rushes." And that was it. And a week later, I was shipped off to the Philippines to refight World War II.
Yeah, this was a job they said couldn't be done. But the American fighting men who did it were called Merrill's Marauders.
We were on Clark Air Force Base, and the weather was really, really hot, really hot. I was the only one. I was a devout worshiper of Clint Walker, so I took all these vitamins and things to stay healthy as possible. And wouldn't you know, I was the only guy that came down with dysentery. Luckily, we had toilets there. We were at Clark Air Force Base. I was a frequent visitor.
Right.
But it aided my character of Showhound, who was always hungry and emaciated. And everybody in the picture supposedly was coming down with some disease or other,
Right.
And Jeff Chandler was Merrill. And he fancied himself quite the first baseman. So one night we're playing the Air Force guys because they're all there was their Air Force base, and some of them worked in the movie. And so we're playing them, and Jeff would get up a bat, and everybody started yelling, "Hey, Grandpa! Hey, Grandpa!"
Because of the hair.
Maybe. But I got him. How about this for a retort? Yeah, I bet you wish your grandpa made so much money. That was pretty clever. So anyhow, Jeff was playing first base, and some guy threw him a errant ball, and he reached out to get it and stretched his back. So for the rest of the shooting, he had a bad back to go along with everything else, and that added to his characterization.
Right.
Only one thing. When he gets back to the United States, he has an operation on his back. And unfortunately, he died on the operating table. I don't think he should have, but he did.
Yeah.
But what an experience that was. Sam Fuller was just terrific. I'd done basic training in the Army, so I knew how to put on my bayonet and everything. So there's one scene, he gave me a shot where he said, "I want you to attack." So I said, "Okay." I put on my bayonet and I went, "Yeah!" To strike great fear in the enemy. He said, "That sounded like a cheap hotel in Chicago." It was just terrific. So that was quite an experience. So there I am halfway around the world, and I get killed off.
Right.
I'm waiting. All the troops are ordered to get out of there, but I'm waiting for that food to be dropped by parachute. And the Japanese are in the weeds and the growths. They're all ready for that. But we're all supposed to get out of there. But I'm greedy, and I wait for the food to fall, and then I drop, and it drops, and I run over to a bunch of food there, and they shoot me dead, and I fall dead, and then the parachute gathers around me like a shroud. I thought that was great. So they take me off salary. There I am halfway across the world, and I'm off salary.
Oh,
but Sam Fuller took pity on me, and he got together with the great cameraman, and they gave me some close-ups in the weeds there looking at the food. And that's the best close-up I ever got. Oh, just terrific. So they take me off salary, and the picture wraps, and I'm still around. So a buddy of mine and I go into Hong Kong for fun, and one of the stuntmen, and we have a great time in Hong Kong. Then they go their way, and I ask my mom to send me some more money, and I go on to Japan. I mean, if they're taking me off salary, I'm going to see the world.
Sure.
So I come back from Japan, and I knew I had 12 weeks allotment every year to get off if I had. But they never used it before because they always had something for you to do.
Right.
So I get back, and they tell me to report to the studio. So I report to the studio, and they put me up at the Hugh Bence's office. He was like second in command to Bill Laura, who was the head of the TV department, and he told me that my services were no longer required. And it didn't hit me hard because I was young and I didn't realize how great a time I'd had there for 5 years.
Sure.
I didn't realize it until this recently, in fact. And so I should have said something like, "Well, don't I get a gold watch or something?"
Right.
So I go out to my car, and Louis Quinn from 77 Sunset Strip, I just bought a Porsche. And I did my new Porsche, and he says, "Good timing there, Hutch."
We'll be back with more from Will Hutchins right after this charming retromercial.
Hi, everybody. I'm Will Hutchins, and I sure hope you'll be watching me every other week, alternating with that big fella, Cheyenne, in our exciting hour-long western, Sugarfoot. We've got a good show for you. There's more action going on in Sugarfoot than you ever saw. Shooting's good and true, and the riding's fast and furious. Of course, I make pretty sure that wherever I am, there's some pretty gals around. There's all of this and more every other week on Sugarfoot. Hope you like it. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you will.
Sugarfoot, every other week on ABC.
We're talking with our favorite guest we've ever had on the program, Will Hutchins, today on the Vintage Rock and Pop Shop, and we're going to go from Merrill's Marauders to, well, a different kind of jungle adventure. This time,
tell me to drink more water. Well, I sound like Andy Devine, so what? Can you do Andy Devine? You can do everybody else.
Oh, I don't know if we should.
That's great. I worked with him in a play once. Gee, he was just wonderful.
I love seeing him with those old movies with Martha Ray, Bob Hope movies. Yeah.
Oh, aren't those great movies?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
She was terrific too.
Oh, she's so talented.
She was a great singer.
Oh, it's ridiculous when I see her. I go, my God, she could do everything.
Well, you know, Anita O'Day, I guess, is my favorite jazz singer, and she learned it from Martha Ray. She gives Martha Ray full credit.
She was a powerhouse, you know, like a Mickey Rooney, you know, where they can kind of do everything.
Oh, Mickey Rooney. You know, I saw this movie Sunset Strip or something recently on TCM. He plays the drums.
Yeah.
I swear he was just as good as Buddy Rich. He was
yeah.
Just tremendous. What a talent. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. Well, from Merrill's Marauders to one of the most dangerous movies ever made, Roar.
Well, there's a story there. In the mid-'60s, my sainted ex-wife, Chris, and our daughter, Jenny, went to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to do a play, Never Too Late, which I'd done for over 2 years on the road and on Broadway.
Right.
And this is their version. And I just got a new agent, William Morris, and they got me the job. I said, this is a good start.
Sure.
So I get there, and turns out I didn't get paid. So thanks a lot, William.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Tippi Hedren was there doing a play about dope addicts. It was a big hit play on Broadway, and they made it a movie, too. I forget the name of it. But she was there with her husband, Noel Marshall, and we just got along great. Noel knew I wasn't going to get paid, but, you know, every man for himself. We made sure Tippi got paid.
Right.
So he became my manager, business manager, and just manager. And he was just terrific. And when we all got back to L.A., we got together and we saw each other, and Noel and Tippi got invited to a lot of these film festivals in South America. Took me along. So I just had some great times. And then around 1969, Tippi went to Africa to make a movie. And I went along with him, and geez, that was quite an experience.
Yeah.
And George Montgomery directed the movie. And while we were there, Noel and Tippi fell in love with wild animals. They couldn't get enough of them. And we came back to America, and Noel worked it. So I went back the next year to make a movie, Shangani Patrol. It was a true story by the Matabele warriors wiping out the British troops, sort of a Custer's Last Stand.
Right.
I played Burnham, who was a Yank. He was the only guy that wasn't killed. It wasn't that he ran away or anything, but he was ordered to leave, and he went to the States and formed the Boy Scouts of America. But that was a great experience.
Right.
And then I came back, and then Noel, by then, Noel and Tippi bought this property in Acton, California. It's now called Shambhala Wild Animal Preserve, and they just take care of all the animals.
Yeah.
And they made a movie about it called Roar. And he got his son to design, Noel got his son to design African buildings, put them together, and he even had a lake there. And that was it. So I was one of the bad guys that came to try to get him to stop messing around with the animals and get back to work. And the movie originally was called Lions, Lions, and More Lions. And that's about it. Lions everywhere.
Right.
And they were the director, actually. With this, followed the Lions.
Right.
And the cameraman was Jean de Bont, and he from Holland. And he ended up being a pretty good director. He directed Speed, that movie about the runaway bus.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, he was the cameraman. And we had all this stuff to do. And the only time I was really scared was we all formed walls every day to let the animals go to their places, and they'd just keep going. We were the guiding wall. Both sides,
right.
Actors and crew, everybody would form the walls. And so I'm standing there, and the tiger came out, and he gave me a double take, and I didn't want that double take. So I cowardly kind of backed off and hid behind the guy next to me, and then all was well.
Right.
That's the only time I was scared, though. And Babs came out to the set one day, and she was sitting there on the turf watching what was going on, and Noel came up to her and said, "Young lady, I want you to stand up and stand up fast. Those lions think you're prey." She stood up praying. So there's one scene. I have a lot of regrets in showbiz, and one of my top 10, I'm in my boat, we're just in the boat floating around, waiting to see what's going to happen next. I'm in that boat all by myself, a rowboat. Here comes a Siberian tiger. He jumps up into my boat.
Right.
Here comes a black panther. I didn't know these cats could swim.
Right.
Comes over and he jumps into my boat. And then a jaguar, scariest of all, jumps in my boat. But I've been so trained to be with these animals that I wasn't scared. It was kind of a beautiful moment. And so they eventually got tired of all that balancing and the boat rocking and made them nervous. So they all jumped out back into the water. And Jean de Bont did not take that picture. He did not. If he did, I don't know what happened to it. Because, wow, can you imagine having that footage?
Oh, sure. You can't buy special effects like that.
And there was no phoniness to it at all. And I like to have seen myself, Mr. Cool, after ducking behind another actor when the tiger gave me a glance.
I've got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see.
Well, Will, I want to tell you once again, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. You're our favorite guest we've ever had on the show. And
there's one thing I want to use on the show.
Sure.
I love your opening, and I love your closing. That's the most beautiful song I ever heard.
Oh, that theme, yeah.
It's an organ, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Johnny Scott.
It reminds me when I was a kid, my grandmother would pick me up every Thursday from kindergarten and take me to the movies. And sometimes she'd take me downtown to the Orpheum, where they had movies and vaudeville.
Right.
And it was a giant dome. And the guy would come up from the floor of the organist and start playing. And my mind would wander. And I'd be lost in that dome. I'd just be up there listening to that music. And I thought of eternity for the first time in my life.
Sure.
There's no ending to anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I just want to tell you that when we're listening to your show every week, here comes the screensaver, and that adds immeasurably. It looks like a sensuous squid dancing in the ocean. Maybe two squids dancing even more sensuously.
Right.
And every once in a while, part of the squid will split off like an amoeba.
Right.
But no matter what music you play, there is that squid dancing. I think I'm in love. It's just amazing. It's just amazing that squid, what she can do. And I just want to. That just adds immeasurably to the show.
Now I'm jealous. Now I want to see what this looks like. I'm on the other side. I don't see anything.
You can come over to our house sometime and watch your show.
Right.
And I take Tai Chi. It's helped me a lot. And if I can only do that choreography that the squid does, I'd put my master, Mr. G, to shame. But in honor of Mr. G, I made up a haiku poem about Tai Chi. Here goes. I'm into Tai Chi. Two sweet gals invited me. I thought they said high tea. One good thing about haiku, it's short.
It's short. And you know what it needs? It needs a rim shot. That's it's funny we're talking about radio because I'm going to play some of your radio show, the Hutch's Golden Melody Saloon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to do a whole segment on it.
How'd you get hold of them?
You sent them to me.
In all modesty, huh?
In all modesty,
How many did I send to you?
Oh, it's a bunch. But I want to play some of that show because it's a lot of fun, and
I did have fun doing it.
Yeah, you have a theme usually for the episodes.
Yeah, that was I made a movie up in Kanab, Utah once called The Shooting.
Yeah.
And every morning we'd go to Rosie's Diner for breakfast. And I'd play that song, Chet Atkins, Cloudy and Cool.
Right.
And I just fell in love with that song. So I lucked out and made that my theme song.
Yeah. Well, as always, it's been great talking to you. We always have a lot of fun, and we hear all sorts of stories. It's
thanks to you and to Terry. I call her Baroness von Frankenstein because she brought me back to life.
Yeah. Oh, she does such great...
Isn't she marvelous?
Yeah. I said it before. I'll say it again. She could have been an editor working on any movie.
I said, I wish we'd worked together in those days, but she was too young.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, take care, Will. We'll talk to you next time.
Adios.
Adios, amigo.